DNA does not match DNA found at the scene of JonBenet's murder.
The tragic death of 6-year-old beauty queen JonBenet Ramsey shocked the world and baffled investigators for decades.
The police were given a report by the Colorado Bureau of Investigation Lab, whoever looked at the DNA.
But now, thanks to cutting-edge DNA technology, the case might finally be coming to a close. And the truth is more unsettling than anyone expected.
Today, the Boulder Police Department says it regularly compares DNA evidence using new technologies.
New evidence has surfaced that could change everything. Those closest to the investigation believe police are just one step away from solving it.
Information leading to the arrest and conviction of the killer of our daughter.
But will justice finally be served?
Has ever accused this boy of killing his sister again.
What truly happened that night, and why, after nearly 3 decades, is this mystery finally being unraveled? Over 28 years have passed since JonBenet Ramsey's brutal murder, yet hope has been reignited by the promise of modern forensic science. But to understand the present, we need to go back to where it all began. It was December 1996. The Ramsey family should have been enjoying the holidays. Instead, their world was shattered when on the morning of December 26, JonBenet was found dead in the basement of their Colorado home. She had been strangled with a garrote, a crude ligature fashioned from household items, and the autopsy revealed a skull fracture. Even more disturbingly, a ransom note had been found earlier, demanding $118,000 for her return, but her body had never left the house. JonBenet's father, John Ramsey, initially called the police to report her missing. Hours later, he discovered her lifeless body in the basement and carried her upstairs in tears, a moment that would later place suspicion on the family. The bizarre details of the case, from the suspicious ransom note to the lack of forced entry, sparked nationwide speculation. The crime scene was mishandled, and the media frenzy only deepened the mystery. For years, the Ramsey family remained the prime suspects. Then in 2003, investigators found traces of unidentified male DNA on JonBenet's underwear. It did not match any Ramsey family member and was added to the FBI's CODIS database. This discovery led to the family's formal exoneration in 2008, which was publicly supported by the Boulder District Attorney. Further analysis revealed the same unknown male DNA on other items from the scene, including the garrote and a blanket, evidence that the killer had direct contact with JonBenet and the crime scene. Today, advances in forensic technology have made it possible to generate usable DNA profiles from evidence once considered inconclusive. The key tool now being used is forensic genetic genealogy, which combines DNA analysis with consumer genealogy databases to track down potential suspects. This exact method was used to catch the Golden State Killer in 2018, and many believe it holds the same promise for JonBenet's case. John Ramsey has urged investigators to retest critical pieces of evidence, including the ransom note, garrote, flashlight, and underwear, using the latest lab technologies designed for genealogical profiling. The Ramsey family believes the police already have everything they need to solve the case. They say it's just a matter of applying the right tools and techniques. In January 2025, John Ramsey met with Boulder Police Chief Stephen Redfern and a genetic genealogy expert to explore ways to apply this technology to the remaining evidence. The 90-minute discussion marked a hopeful turning point. Since then, Chief Redfern and other officials have expressed a willingness to collaborate with the FBI and independent labs, signaling renewed determination to finally bring closure to the case. John Ramsey believes that genealogical DNA testing could provide a 60 to 70% chance of identifying the killer. Yet some investigative bodies remain cautious due to earlier evidence contamination, a major factor that has slowed progress for years. Still, new testing protocols and leadership, along with public pressure from recent documentaries, are driving a new wave of momentum. JonBenet's older half-brother, John Andrew Ramsey, has also stepped forward, expressing unwavering confidence that the case can still be solved. He revealed that dedicated volunteers continue to work on the investigation every day, convinced that justice is within reach. In a candid interview, John Andrew shared the emotional struggles the family faced, not only with JonBenet's death, but also with their mother Patsy's battle with stage 4 cancer and the earlier loss of their sister Beth in a car crash. He said they never imagined another tragedy would strike their family. When JonBenet died, they were still grieving, and suddenly found themselves accused by the public and law enforcement. "We lost our sister and our daughter," he said. "We were victims, but the people we thought would protect us turned on us instead. We were just ordinary people, and our world was turned upside down." After years of defending themselves, the 2008 DNA evidence finally cleared the Ramsey family. Now the focus must shift to finding the real killer. According to the family, the time is now. The technology exists. The evidence exists. What's needed is action, to use modern forensic tools, follow the DNA trail, and finally bring the person responsible to justice. The Ramsey family remains united in their belief that law enforcement already possesses the critical, yet still untested, DNA evidence needed to finally solve the JonBenet Ramsey case. But they stress that decisive action is long overdue. One voice we hadn't heard for nearly 3 decades is that of JonBenet's brother, Burke Ramsay, once widely speculated to be involved in the case. After years of silence, Burke stepped into the spotlight for the first time during a 3-part interview on Dr. Phil. It marked his first public appearance since the 1996 tragedy. He had previously declined interviews from major platforms, including Netflix and other documentary producers. When asked why he finally chose to speak out, Burke said, "If the story's going to be told, I want to be the one to tell it. I don't want people talking about me. I'd rather speak for myself." His remarks reflected a clear desire to reclaim his narrative after years of public speculation and media scrutiny. During the interview, Burke firmly denied ever harming his sister. In response to the widespread rumors and theories, he said bluntly, "Absolutely not." He recalled thinking JonBenet was simply hiding on the morning of her death and remained in bed, unaware of the unfolding chaos downstairs. The interview also addressed Burke's interactions with police in the aftermath of the crime. At just 9 years old, he appeared nervous and even smiled at times during questioning, behavior that investigators misread as suspicious. He explained that those smiles weren't signs of guilt, but a common nervous reaction to stress. Dr. Phil walked Burke through the original 911 call and shared previously unreleased audio recordings. They discussed why Burke stayed in his room during the initial search and how he came to understand that his sister was truly gone. Burke also shared his own theory, that JonBenet was the victim of a deranged pageant-obsessed predator or pedophile, not a family member. He remains hopeful that modern DNA evidence will bring the truth to light and finally identify the killer. And based on current developments, he may be right. The Ramsey family has been cleared as suspects in this decades-long investigation. One of the most baffling parts of the JonBenet Ramsey case was how quickly investigators zeroed in on the parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, as primary suspects. The lack of forced entry, the ransom note written on family stationery, and the suspicious amount exactly matching John's recent bonus all seemed to point inward. But this narrow focus caused investigators to overlook countless other leads, including the possibility of an outside intruder. By failing to explore all angles, authorities potentially missed crucial early opportunities to identify a more likely suspect, perhaps a crazed fan, a pageant stalker, or a local predator. That tunnel vision allowed the case to go cold for nearly 30 years. Thanks to advances in DNA technology, the case is now inching closer to a resolution. And the original theory about the parents is falling apart. JonBenet was struck in the head with a heavy object, causing a severe skull fracture before being strangled with a garrote, a brutal method that experts say is inconsistent with a panicked parent. Filmmaker Joe Berlinger, who directed Cold Case, JonBenet Ramsey, said it best. JonBenet died from strangulation using a garrote. The idea that a mother would have the knowledge or state of mind to create such a method over something like bedwetting, it's just not plausible. The Ramseys were nearly charged with child endangerment and accessory to murder, but District Attorney Alex Hunter refused to file charges, citing a lack of evidence. The tide began to turn in 2008, when DNA analysis uncovered male DNA from an unknown source, evidence that definitively ruled out the Ramseys. Former DA Mary Lacy publicly exonerated the family, declaring them victims rather than suspects. Lacey also criticized the police for ignoring evidence that pointed away from the Ramseys, solely because they were intent on proving the family's guilt. By 2013, the focus had finally shifted. Investigators began to seriously pursue the intruder theory after identifying unknown male DNA in the home. Over 1,600 individuals were considered persons of interest, ranging from local burglars to registered sex offenders and people connected to JonBenet's pageant life. But many of these leads were ignored early on because police were so fixated on the Ramseys. That obsession didn't stop at the parents. Burke Ramsay, only 9 years old at the time, was also eyed with suspicion. Despite being officially ruled out, rumors persisted. DA Alex Hunter later confirmed that Burke had never been, nor should have been, a suspect. Still, public doubt lingered, amplified by media speculation. In 2016, CBS aired a controversial docuseries titled The Case of JonBenet Ramsey, in which a panel of experts theorized that Burke might have accidentally killed his sister during a dispute over a bowl of pineapple. They cited his fingerprints on a bowl and a teacup, as well as the fact that undigested pineapple was found in JonBenet's stomach. They also referenced a past incident where Burke hit her with a golf club and his composed demeanor during questioning. But the Ramsey family strongly denied the claims. Burke responded by suing CBS and forensic pathologist Dr. Werner Spitz for defamation. The lawsuits ended in confidential settlements. In a rare public comment, Burke said clearly, "You won't find any evidence because that's not what happened." He reiterated his belief that an intruder, possibly fixated on JonBenet's pageant appearances, was responsible. Even today, some people still subscribe to the "Burke did it" theory. Some argue a child could not have committed such a violent act, while others suggest his parents may have staged the scene to protect him. But no evidence has ever supported these claims. So what do you think? Was this a tragic case of police tunnel vision that delayed justice for decades? Or is there still more to uncover? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. One of the most damaging factors in the JonBenet Ramsey case wasn't just the focus on the parents. It was the disastrous mishandling of the crime scene. From the moment police arrived, crucial mistakes were made. Instead of securing the entire house, officers only sealed off JonBenet's bedroom. Friends, family members, and detectives moved freely throughout the home, touching surfaces, disturbing evidence, and even washing areas. JonBenet's body was moved. Her father carried her from the basement rather than alerting officers to the discovery. Key protocols were ignored. Officers failed to properly search the house early on and overlooked the basement, where her body remained undiscovered for hours after the initial 911 call. They didn't bring in crime scene dogs or seal off the entire property. It was Christmas, and the police department was short-staffed and disorganized. Former Boulder Police Chief Mark Beckner later admitted the response had set the case on the wrong course from the very beginning. Worse yet, key evidence, including the garrote, the ransom note, the rope, and the flashlight, still hasn't been retested using today's advanced forensic technology. Some items may have even been lost. One of the strangest parts of the case remains the infamous ransom note. Discovered by Patsy Ramsey on Christmas morning, it demanded $118,000, the exact amount of John Ramsey's recent bonus, raising suspicions that the writer had intimate knowledge of the family. The 3-page note was penned on paper from inside the Ramsey home using Patsy's own pen. Its tone was formal, dramatic, and even cinematic, referencing movies like Dirty Harry and Speed, threatening beheadings, and signing off with the cryptic initials SBTC. Experts have long debated the note's authenticity. Was it a genuine ransom letter, a staged distraction, or an attempt to exploit John Ramsey for money? Some forensic analysts claim the handwriting resembled Patsy's. Others believe it was an outsider mimicking her style. Private investigator Jason Jensen suggested SBTC could be linked to obscure academic phrases, possibly pointing to someone from the University of Colorado Boulder, a theory that leans toward a local intruder. Psychological and linguistic experts dismiss the note entirely as a fabricated distraction, citing awkward phrasing like, "We advise you to be arrested," as inconsistent with real kidnappers. Despite the contaminated scene, some physical evidence was still recovered. There was an open basement window with a scuff mark beneath it, packing peanuts and leaves scattered inside, and a suitcase propped up under the window, possibly to aid in entry or escape. A mysterious boot print was found near JonBenet's body that didn't match any family member. She had been strangled by a garrote made from nylon cord and a broken paintbrush taken from Patsy's art supplies. A similar ligature was tied around her wrist. Additionally, male DNA, belonging to an unknown individual, was found in multiple locations. Under JonBenet's fingernails, on her underwear, long johns, the garrote, and the wrist cord. That DNA has never been matched to anyone connected to the case. More clues added to the mystery. A palm print on the basement door, green garland fibers in her hair, duct tape that came from a different source, and a latex glove discovered in nearby trash. Despite these significant clues, the media frenzy surrounding the case only deepened the confusion. Almost immediately, the investigation was overshadowed by sensationalist coverage. What began as serious reporting quickly devolved into a trial by television. Tabloids and cable news turned JonBenet's murder into a spectacle, with little regard for truth or accuracy. In one infamous example, Geraldo Rivera hosted a 1997 mock trial on national TV, theatrically convicting John and Patsy Ramsey without a shred of verified evidence. He later issued a public apology for the damage caused. Tabloids falsely claimed that Patsy forced JonBenet into pageants, or that John was guilty of misconduct, claims later proven false. Even Burke Ramsay, then only 9 years old, was dragged into the spotlight. His anxious demeanor was misrepresented as guilt, and media coverage portrayed his nervous smiles as something sinister. Journalists and critics, including Michael Tracy, condemned the coverage as a form of public lynching, where rumors were valued more than truth. The relentless focus on the Ramsey family distorted public perception and hindered real investigative progress. Despite this, the Ramseys continued to live their lives while seeking justice. John Ramsey, now the family's most vocal advocate, has pushed tirelessly for the case to be solved. Since the death of his wife Patsy in 2006, John has championed modern DNA testing and appealed to authorities to revisit the evidence. He now divides his time between Michigan and Utah, and married Jan Rousseau in 2011. He remains committed to seeing justice for JonBenet. Burke Ramsay pursued a quieter life. He graduated from Purdue University with a degree in computer and information technology and now works as a software engineer in Michigan. Married and living privately, Burke avoids the public eye. He declined participation in the Netflix documentary, but broke his silence in a 2016 appearance on Dr. Phil, where he defended his innocence and supported the intruder theory. JonBenet's half-brother John Andrew Ramsey, John's son from a previous marriage, has been one of the most outspoken voices for justice. He participated in the Netflix docu-series and has consistently criticized law enforcement for its early failures. He continues to urge police to embrace advanced DNA testing and pursue every viable lead. Today, the entire Ramsey family remains focused on a single goal: pushing authorities to retest existing DNA evidence using the most advanced forensic tools available. They believe the answers are already within reach. And with all the technological advancements, renewed public interest, and fresh scrutiny, the case might finally be ready to close, giving the Ramsey family the answers they've waited nearly 30 years to hear. What do you think really happened to JonBenet Ramsey? Which theory makes the most sense to you? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching. And until next time, stay curious.